London, one of the world's most international cities. Walk its streets or ride its public transport, and you can easily hear more than a dozen languages in a single day. This is one thing I love about Britain. It is international, it is global, yet unmistakably British. Its traditions, its culture, its architecture, and its legacy. Or at least that is how it looks at first. And that impression changed for me when I found out who owns the London Black Cab. It is one of London's most recognizable symbols, on postcards, on souvenirs, in films around the world. Now, one of them is more spacious than I thought actually. To be honest, I was quite surprised to discover the company behind it is owned by China's Geely, and that made me start digging. Then came more surprises. MG is owned by China's SAIC, Jaguar Land Rover by India's Tata, Rolls-Royce Motor Cars and Mini by Germany's BMW, and Bentley by Germany's Volkswagen Group. These were once the pride of the UK, and it's not just cars. Some of London's best-known landmarks are internationally owned. The Shard, the Walkie-Talkie, Canary Wharf, the Cheese Grater and the Gherkin. Well, interesting names, by the way. But what is more surprising for me is England's water industry. Its major water companies are privately owned with substantial overseas investors, including China, Canada, Australia, to name just a few. So how did so much of Britain end up in international hands? To understand that, we have to go back to the end of the Second World War. Britain's economy was on its knees, like many other countries. The government brought vital industries such as coal, steel, railways, electricity and gas into public ownership. But by the 1970s, that model was under growing pressure. Nationalized industries were widely criticized as inefficient. Inflation soared, productivity weakened, industrial disputes paralyzed the country. Britain was labeled as the sick man of Europe. The pressure for change was growing, and Prime Minister James Callaghan was out. Then came Margaret Thatcher in 1979. Put simply, her message was government should step back and business should step in. Over the following decades, Britain privatized many state-owned industries and opened its economy to the international capital. Money poured in. Foreign ownership was not seen as a weakness but openness. But then came a series of shocks that we all know. Together, they exposed the risks of dependence on overseas supplies, tech and investment. Governments began talking not just about growth, but resilience and economic and national security. In 2021, Parliament passed the National Security and Investment Act. It gives ministers powers to review acquisitions, impose conditions, block deals, and even unwind acquisitions on national security grounds. One landmark case involved this company, Newport Wafer Fab. In 2022, the government ordered Chinese-owned Nexperia to sell most of the semiconductor plant, citing national security concerns. That same year, ministers blocked Super Orange HK's proposed acquisition of the UK semiconductor software company, Pulsic. Don't get this wrong, Britain didn't close its doors to overseas investment, and the government says the law is country-neutral. It has only become just more selective. But figures do show Chinese investors face more scrutiny. Then came British Steel. After years of losses, its Chinese owner, Jianhua Group, moved to close the blast furnaces when negotiations over government support broke down. The government responded with emergency legislation, bringing the company into public ownership. But for decades, Britain largely believed ownership mattered less than investment itself. Today, that assumption is changing. Well, Britain is still very much open to foreign investment, but it is asking a different question, not simply who wants to invest, but who is allowed to invest and who should own what. And the new Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, has made greater public ownership a central part of his agenda, including water, energy, transport and housing. The pendulum may be moving again.